She walked into the arena alone and left behind 100 alien corpses. The Galactic Council had made their decision with the cold finality of a judge's gavel. Humanity would face the trial of worthiness, or their species would be classified as expendable and relegated to the Outer Rim colonies, forever barred from the core worlds. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the entrance to the grand arena of Zephyr Prime, her boots echoing against the polished obsidian floor. The massive amphitheater stretched before her like the maw of some ancient beast, its curved walls rising toward a dome that showed the swirling nebulae of distant space. 50,000 alien spectators filled the seats, their various forms creating a tapestry of scales, chitin, and exotic flesh. "The human representative will face 100 of our finest warriors," announced Overlord Crix, his voice booming through bioacoustic amplifiers. The Vorthak leader's 6 arms gestured dramatically as his serpentine body coiled on the elevated platform. "Each warrior represents a different species within our alliance. Should she fall, humanity's application for membership will be permanently denied." Sarah adjusted the plasma rifle on her back and checked the charge on her pulse pistol. Standard human military gear. Nothing more, nothing less. The Council had insisted on fair terms, which meant she could use only the weapons and armor her species had developed independently. The arena floor was a maze of metal platforms, energy barriers, and environmental hazards designed to test every conceivable combat scenario. Gravity wells that could crush bones, acid pools that could dissolve armor in seconds, and force fields that redirected projectiles with lethal precision. "Begin," Crix commanded. The first wave materialized through teleportation pods, 20 warriors from the insectoid Zektar Empire. They moved with the fluid grace of their species, their razor-sharp mandibles clicking in anticipation. Each stood 8 feet tall, their exoskeletons gleaming like black mirrors. Sarah didn't wait. She rolled behind cover as chittering death descended upon her position. The Zektar had always been ambush predators, patient, methodical, deadly, but they had never fought humans before. She triggered a flashbang grenade and heard the satisfying sound of confused clicks and hisses. Emerging from cover, she put 3 pulse-round center mass into the nearest warrior before pivoting to engage the next. Her movements were economical, precise. Every shot calculated, every step planned. The crowd fell silent as the first 10 Zektar fell within 30 seconds. The remaining insects began to coordinate, their hive mind intelligence adapting to her tactics. They flanked her position, forcing her toward the acid pools. Sarah smiled grimly and activated her grappling hook, swinging across the hazardous terrain to land behind enemy lines. The Zektar's own ambush instincts became their weakness as she systematically eliminated them from their blind spots. 20 down. The second wave brought forth the crystalline warriors of Selenoth, beings of living mineral who could refract energy weapons and shatter conventional ammunition. They advanced like walking diamonds, their surfaces splitting light into rainbow patterns. Sarah holstered her energy weapons and drew the combat knife from her boot. The aliens in the stands made sounds of derision. What could a simple blade do against crystal warriors? Everything, as it turned out. She had studied their physiology during the long journey to Zephyr Prime. The Selenoth had a single structural weakness where their crystalline matrix intersected at the base of their necks. Sarah moved like a ghost between them, her knife finding that precise point again and again. The warriors shattered like expensive sculptures, their light refracting into darkness. 40 down. The third wave consisted of the aerial Nethys, winged predators from the storm, worlds who could manipulate electromagnetic fields. They swooped down like dragons of legend, their talons crackling with bioelectric energy. Sarah adapted again. She used the arena's own energy barriers against them, timing her movements to force the Nethys into the grid patterns that would disrupt their flight. When they crashed to the ground, her rifle was waiting, 60 down. The Galactic Council observers began shifting uneasily in their seats. This wasn't going according to their projections. The human should have fallen by now, overwhelmed by superior numbers and alien capabilities. But Sarah Chen had something they hadn't accounted for: She was human. The fourth wave brought the cybernetic Corvin, enhanced beings who had replaced most of their organic components with advanced technology. They moved with mechanical precision, their targeting systems locking onto her heat signature. Sarah disappeared. She had studied human history during her preparation, learning from the guerrilla fighters, resistance movements, and special forces of her species past. She used smoke grenades, thermal dampeners, and the arena's own shadows to become a ghost. The Corvin's sophisticated sensors found only empty air as she struck from impossible angles, 80 down. The final 20 warriors were volunteers, representatives from 20 different species, who had each claimed their races were superior to humanity. They came together in a coordinated assault that should have been overwhelming. Sarah met them head-on. She fought with a ferocity that spoke to humanity's deepest nature, not just as toolmakers or tacticians, but as survivors who had clawed their way to the top of their world's food chain through determination and adaptability. She used their own numbers against them, creating choke points where their advantage became a liability. When the last alien warrior fell, silence gripped the arena like a physical force. Sarah stood among the fallen, her armor scorched but intact, her weapon smoking from overuse. Blood trickled from a dozen minor wounds, but she remained upright, unbowed. 100, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the acoustic systems. As requested, Overlord Crix's 6 arms trembled. Impossible. No single being could— You're right, Sarah interrupted, removing her helmet to reveal a face that was tired, but triumphant. No single being could do this, but I'm not just a being. I'm human. And humans don't fight alone even when we're alone. She gestured to the fallen warriors around her. Every one of your champions was stronger, faster, or more technologically advanced than me. But I had something none of them possessed, the knowledge that I was fighting not just for myself but for every human who ever lived and every human who might yet be born. The arena erupted in chaos as different species argued among themselves. Some called for her immediate execution, others demanded humanity be granted full membership status immediately. Sarah simply walked toward the exit, her mission complete. She had proven what every human knew in their bones, that their species didn't survive because they were the strongest or the smartest. They survived because they never gave up. As she reached the arena's threshold, she turned back one final time. The council wanted to know if humanity was worthy of joining your alliance, she called out. Perhaps the better question is whether your alliance is worthy of humanity. The obsidian doors closed behind her with a resonant boom, leaving behind 100 alien corpses and the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history.